The Colorado Avalanche just beat the San Jose Sharks 6-0 last night, and that was their 10th consecutive win. They have been far and away the best team in the NHL through the first quarter of the season, so I felt it was a good time to talk about this team and the potential that they could break the NHL all-time wins and points record. Now, real quick, before we talk about the Colorado Avalanche, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. There will be NHL draft content, World Juniors, Olympics, and eventually NHL playoffs and off-season when the time comes. So if you like this type of content, then make sure to subscribe. Now, getting back into the video, we're going to talk about Colorado's season thus far, their win streak, the goaltending, the defense, the offense, everything that's going well. And then talk about the potential of them actually setting the single season all-time points or wins record. Now, heading into the season, expectations were fairly high for the Avalanche. We all know how last season went. They traded Mikko Rantanen and ended up losing to him in Game 7 of the first round. However, there was still a lot to be optimistic about heading into this season. You have a full season of Marty Necas, Brock Nelson, and the return of Gabe Landeskog, as well as adding Brent Burns on the back end and having a stabilized goalie tandem for a full season, which is something they did not have last year. And they have been incredibly fun to watch this year. A 17-1-5 record to put them at the top of the NHL. They do not lose in regulation. It's literally only happened one time this season, and they have been on a tear lately, 10 wins in a row. They have been pretty much perfect in every aspect of the game to start this season. They have a plus 44 goal differential, which is nearly 30 above the second place team, which is the Dallas Stars at plus 16. First of all, we'll take a look at the offense because it's been unreal this year. At 5-on-5, they're first in the league in goals for per 60 with 3.63, pretty far and away first as well. And it's not really a fluke because if you look at their expected goals for, it's also first and not really close at 3.46 per 60. There is obviously some room for regression as they do have the highest PDO in the league at 5-on-5. However, their power play has actually really struggled this year at 16.1%, which is 24th in the league. And historically, they usually have around a top 5 power play, which makes sense when you look at the talent on the team. So even if they go through a dry spell at 5-on-5 offensively, which doesn't really seem like that's going to happen anytime soon, the power play is probably going to improve at some point in the season, which is just incredibly scary for every other team. And when you look at the player stats, Nathan MacKinnon leads the way with 39 points and 18 goals. He leads the league in goals and points, and he's the favorite for the Hart as of right now. And you've got his line mates Necas and Lehkonen up there as well, 30 for Necas, 21 for Lehkonen, and that line has outscored opponents 24-8 at 5-on-5 this year, which is ridiculous. And then you've got depth performances that have been pretty good this season. Victor Olofsson is 5th on the team in points. You have Ross Colton at 7th. Brock Nelson and Val Nichushkin both have 12 points. You'd like a little bit more from them, but there's really not much to complain about. Parker Kelly, Jack Drury, Gabe Landeskog, Gavin Brindley have all produced a little bit as well. And Gabe Landeskog, although he has struggled to score, he's had a few goals waved off. And having the captain back after 3 years of his absence has just got to be such a boost for this team. And I think that definitely has to be considered when you're talking about things that are contributing to their success this season. And of course, you have Cale Makar doing his thing on the back end, 30 points. He's the Norris frontrunner as of right now. Brent Burns has been pretty solid. Devin Taves is doing his thing. And Sam Milinski's had a pretty solid breakout season. And then just touching quickly on the defense, I think it's been pretty solid this season, and the expected goals against per 60 is actually not as good as it was last year, but I don't really feel like that's as reflective of how good they've been defensively. One aspect that has improved a lot is the penalty kill, which is nearly 88%. It's 3rd in the league. Last year it was more in the middle of the pack, around 77%. And what makes that even more impressive is the fact that one of their best penalty killers over the last few seasons has missed all season, and that's Logan O'Connor. And getting into the most obvious point, the goaltending has been so much better this season than last season. Last year, they started with Alexander Georgiev and Justus Annunen, and that was one of the worst goaltending duos in the league. It was so bad that they completely changed the goaltending mid-season and acquired Blackwood and Wedgwood, who were both really good last season with them. But this year, even with Mackenzie Blackwood injured, the goaltending has been phenomenal, and Scott Wedgwood, he's been unbelievable this season. A .918 save percentage, 2.09 goals against average, a 13-1-2 record, and a goal saved above expected of positive 9. He went from a solid 1B/backup goalie in years past to one of the best goalies in the league so far this season, and he has inserted himself into Team Canada's goalie radar. He was not on the 90-man list at the start of the summer, and now when they're down to around 35, he's been added to it. And now Mackenzie Blackwood is back from injury. He's played 5 games, he's won 4 of them, and he has multiple shutouts and a .928 save percentage. He's locked up for the next 5 seasons, and Wedgwood also signed a 1-year extension, which will take him into next season. So they've got one of the best goalie tandems in the league for 2 seasons at the minimum, and it's pretty crazy. You have to give the management credit for what they were able to do, turning Alexander Georgiev and Annunen into this duo. And just quickly touching on the point about this team potentially breaking the wins record. The Bruins set it a couple years ago back in 2023 with 65 wins, as well as 135 points for an .823 points percentage. And when you take a look at the Avalanche, they have an .848 points percentage, which puts them on a 139 point pace. So they are on track to beat the points record. However, they are on pace for 61 wins, so they would not beat the wins record. And it's unrealistic to expect a team to keep up this pace the whole season long. Every team goes through its struggles, and I mean, this team is ridiculous. You have Logan O'Connor, who is hurt right now. He's going to come back eventually. Mackenzie Blackwood is going to be healthy now. And it seems like Nathan MacKinnon is on a mission right now, so I would not be surprised at all if they actually were able to beat the wins record or points record. The Avs are clearly a favorite for the Stanley Cup right now, probably the favorite. However, we actually have seen in history with the Bruins and the Lightning setting the wins record that doesn't always translate to playoff success. Both of those teams lost in the first round in embarrassing fashion. But with all that being said, make sure to let me know down below, what do you guys think? Will the Avs beat the wins record or points record? Are they the clear favorites for the Stanley Cup? And I'll see you guys in the next video.